So I wanted to have this conversation about whether or not there is any more virtue left in our society. Like, is there true virtue left in our society? Virtue was an attribute given to godly women, spirit-filled women. But the term virtue literally means to not be conformed to this world, but to be having an internal, intrinsic value for self and the value that you bring to this world based on your own personal virtues of standards and abilities. And women, we were made to be a help to man, even though a lot of times now the conversation is that women are a hindrance to man. And isn't that sad that we were created to be a help to man? And let me go ahead and say I'm grateful to be in a healthy relationship where I know that I have a purpose. But this is in communicating to say that a lot of conversation goes to the topic of stating that a woman is a distraction. And I think it's because there's no virtue attributed to a form of woman anymore. Like, unfortunately, the idea of sex being so freely given really diminishes the meaning behind a lot of intimate relationships, or why marriage would be important, because it was a time when marriage was the result of two people who decided that they could value each other and create a positive environment for others, and meaning children, right? And so with that being the case, people were like, okay, we're going to get married. But that was also a standard that said, well, there will not be certain things interchanging. And so much of society agreed due to the dangers of being alone with a man, and due to the dangers of premarital sex, and due to issues involving virtues. Like, virtues, just pure things to say. My culture and my family standard has been that we prefer to have intimate relationship that precedes after a marriage, right? These are the common things that a lot of families in this world, to have the successes that we have, were grounded on, right? Nowadays, there's this new trend of saying, I need to have my own, and then I can meet such and such, or Susie, or Tom, or Ben, or Jen, or, Daryl, or Keisha, whatever, these people, these groupings. But it's like, and then the idea is that a woman has to have so much and has to be willing to give to a man, when the things that a woman were supposed to give were supposed to be a virtue, right? And the virtuous things were that she cared for her husband, provided for her husband emotionally, mentally, socially, physically, right? His well-being, meaning even if she farmed or had a garden, or, making her own ingredients, she could sew, like she could make him clothes or fix his clothes, like she could teach her children morals and standards, and she could afford to pay people. So that means she had her own business, or maybe she had her own degree and she had her own ability to create wealth, right? Those were assets. She came from a strong, good family. Her family maybe had a skill that they passed along from generation to generation. Like, these are the things, that created a beautiful relationship, right? And so the question is there any virtue? Like, do people still value virtue? And I concerned with modern day society, where you have teen pregnancies and STDs and TikTok and IG and Botox and all this extrinsic, what's the word I should say? Extrinsic display of some type of visual appeal, right? But there's no real internal value in these people. They have fake everything, including personalities and souls. They are literally fake. Their moods change from trends. They're not grounded in anything righteous. They have a form of godliness but denying the true power they're in. So there are hard things to do in life, especially with how much sex is in the media and stuff. People, for example, women, there's this thing, they have a desire to maybe want to be a mom, but they don't have a healthy relationship to form that in, right? Some women don't even want to be mothers, but then they're involved with a man who still wants to have sexual relationship, but he hasn't brought that to the point of being able to decide that he's able to commit himself to that woman, right? So these women, what do? They comply. Why do they comply? They comply to the point of pregnancy. Why do they comply? Because the world has decided that there is a value attributed to a woman that has a man compared to a value contributed to a woman who does not. And then I asked the question, is there still virtue? Because if you think my value is determined by if I have a man, then what is the value of that man? You know what I'm trying to say? If a woman's value is contributed to if she's married to a man or attached to a man in some form, right? Then what is that man's value, right? And so it's like, is he kind? Does he have integrity? Does he tell the truth? Is he a man of his word? Is he a good provider? Is he going to make a good father? Does he have temperance? Meaning, does he get an attitude? Is he capable of holding his feelings? Is he able to adjust to the times? Or is he bending with every wind? That's what the Bible says. Like, they're double-minded. One day they're happy, the next day they're upset. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's just like the world controls their emotions. And with that being the case, it's like, is there any virtue? Because this was a term attributed to women, but unfortunately, in our society, so much value is placed on a woman being with a man in some aspects that women seem to be trying to form themselves to some form of acceptance where we were made to help. You see, help has to be accepted, right? But if there's something that says, I don't need your help, and that's the going artificial intelligence, then where do we draw the line to say, maybe we need to rethink all of this in general, right? And with that being the case, I think that you have to really decide if you're the one creating virtue based on spiritual principles, or if you're allowing the world to dictate your choices and who you are as a human being based on their so said principles. I'm gonna pause right here and probably make a part 2 because I think there's so much more to be said. But say blessings to the hearers and doers of this word, like of God's infinite word, right? So that's that.